The political trajectory in Nigeria has come with a lot of criticism as well as commendation. However, though, since the Third Republic came to be, Nigeria has begun to understand democratic dividends as a result of having the right persons occupying right offices. In other words, talking about round pegs in round holes. Hello, dear. It's a pleasure once again to have you join us on the program Political Affairs on Kama TV. My name is Chris Jacobs. And as usual, I've been joined by my guest today, Honorable Victor Dogo, Dr. Victor Dogo, I beg your pardon. He is a special assistant to the governor on social mobilization, and he joins me now to further the conversation. Victor, it's a pleasure to have you on Political Affairs.
My pleasure, and thank you for having me.
That's good. Now, I'd like to start, first of all, by asking you, what do you make of what's your reaction, rather, on the political development in Nigeria, looking at the return to democracy since 1999?
Well, if you look at it generally, you could say that at least as long as we've been able to move from one particular election to another, democracy is at play. But the quality of the democracy is another question. And that's why I would say we have moved forward. Whether we like it or not, we are moving forward. As long as there's no military regime in Nigeria. Mm-hmm. So I think it's okay.
But if you say the quality of the democracy, what invariably are you referring to? Is it the system or the players?
Well, the system, I have always argued that we have a good system. Whether you like it or not, Nigeria has a system that can work. The only problem we have is the persons that are supposed to be operating this system. Where you have someone who doesn't seem to understand that the system is bigger than him, tends to give in to any kind of a pressure that comes from, probably in quotes, the man in charge. And then at the end of the day, you find that elections tend to be truncated as a result of some certain manipulations via pressure from certain quarters. I can tell you that if not because of the inability of the men that we have in Nigeria that are supposed to uphold this integrity and sit in the position which they have been given the opportunity to operate as Nigerians upholding the right status, my brother, Nigeria would have gone far.
That means it is not the individuals in this regard, but the system.
No, sir. I still maintain it is the issue of the persons that are occupying the system.
Because I brought this up, if you can recall, over the years, you could see that our institutions in Nigeria seem to be subjugated by individuals. You see individuals, superseding the concept of institution. For instance, now, someone that is highly corrupt and is taken to the court of law for prosecution, you could see that before, there's what they call plea bargain. He embezzled 80 billion naira, and he brings out about 20 to 30 billion naira out of it. They say it's plea bargain, and you see that the institution is supposed to be the watchdog of these corrupt individuals have a kind of created a watershed for themselves, and individuals, go scot-free, like a free bird in a society.
You see, I would still want to maintain the fact that the system exists and the system can work. I still maintain that it is the individuals occupying the place of authority within the institutions that are supposed to make this system in Nigeria work that are the problem. I would say, to an extent, it's either you're half-baked or probably you don't seem to even have an understanding of the seat in which you are being seated. Politically and also otherwise. Because when you consider it politically, there's no isolation. You cannot isolate political occurrences from other issues or other occurrences within the nation. They are interwoven, and this interwoven fabric, it's something that is supposed to be teleguided by certain men of principles and integrity, and that is exactly what we are lacking. We are lacking such persons.
But Dr. Victor, talk to me about the recent development under Tinubu's administration, because we've seen, as a matter of fact, where it seems the institutions are beginning to, work, based on the ends, on the premise of the ends of the establishment. For instance, now, the Economic and Financial Crime Commission, FCC, as well as ICPC, have begun to confront, those who have occupied elective offices before, and as well as dancing to the music of these institutions. Would you rather say it is Tinubu-led administration that has further redefined the instance of these institutions have been established on such a premise?
Most of the times you can only draw a conclusion after there's been a performance. Leader is on the stage, you cannot draw a conclusion that he has performed excellently well on the office of the stage. Because at that point in time, a lot of the porous aspects, areas will now come to play. So what I wouldn't want to say is because it is Tinubu that is on seats and then the EFCC is working. The question is, are there no questions being raised against the same EFCC by others? So
You're
that
right.
tells you that in every dispensation, you have challenges. And these challenges is all that what matters is how you overcome them. And by looking at what exactly is happening in Nigeria today, of course, we're not just going to come out and give a blanket statement and say EFCC is working. They are working, but we'll assess them with time. Remember what happened when it was instituted initially?
Mhm.
It was the same process. In the beginning, it was like a firebrand, refined institution that was going to deliver. And at that point in time also, the same institution was being attacked. So that's to tell you that I keep telling people, if you have the right men in the right places, if something is going to go wrong, you come out and tell Nigerians, I will resign because I want to do the right thing. And something is wrong.
But you and I know that in Nigeria, for lack of a better word, I can't recall when last a Nigerian public office holder resigned, except for Kemi Adeosun during Buhari's regime, and that was not on corruption basis, just mismatch of certificate issue. And that's not to say she was not schooled; she was educated and learned, but as a matter of fact, because of the Nigerian factor. But I've not seen, correct me if I'm wrong, where a public office holder in Nigeria decided to resign because there is an investigation going on in his office.
It's a culture that we've already imbibed over years that will remain until it's over.
Let me ask you this question, Dr. Victor. I've seen certain criticism, and let me say a little bit of condemnation over some appointment made by His Excellency Senator Bola Ahmed Tinubu, President of the Republic of Nigeria, as to regard some ethnic, extraction in this part of the country, occupying mostly, some of the sensitive offices in the country, valuable offices, lucrative offices, I put it that way, for lack of a better word, And this criticism is coming on the heels of the recent appointment he's made as regards some of these offices. And the conversation is still ongoing, it's back and forth, where we see another group in this part of the country, another regional or ethnic extraction, also are given a kind of a backlash that during the previous administration of President Muhammadu Buhari, some of these offices that are seen as very sensitive and lucrative are also occupied by a certain group of persons, from a particular regional extraction. What do you make of these? Should Nigeria continue in this bigotry and prejudicial, aspect of governance?
It's rather unfortunate that excellence is not what rules in Nigeria to an extent, in as much as there are elements of picking murder
vis-a-vis federal character.
Which is supposed to stay the guide or what we're supposed to do. But let me be very sincere with you. Would you blame any person at a point in time to pick certain persons? Fear is one factor that has always followed our system. A lot of people
Fear of what?
Fear of either disloyalty, and that's one other thing I've already come to discover. The major reason why you see these things happening in Nigeria is not because Nigerians might not be able to decide to take anyone from any part of the country, but this attitude of disloyalty that has always become one factor that has played out.
Is
always been the reason why. Let me
Okay,
answer.
please do, because we're going to take a break.
It has always been a reason why you find out that most leaders, when they come on board, they are always considering what will happen if this person doesn't do what I want. So this aspect of disloyalty that can come from anywhere tends to push them into a box whereby they are forced to pick from within the box.
Or is it safe to say the leaders, the president, the governors in such context, is insecure?
It's not insecure.
All right,
just the
catch up break.
There must be
just catch up. We'll come back to build on this. All right, you're watching Political Affairs on Camera TV. We'll take a short break now. When we return, there'll be more on this conversation. Join us again. Welcome back, and you're watching Political Affairs on Kama TV. And of course, if you're just tuning in, I've been speaking with Dr. Victor Dogo. He is a special assistant to the governor on social mobilization. And our focus today is on the recent development in Nigeria. All right, before the break, Principal Justice, I beg your pardon, and talked about the fear of those who are not going to be loyal.
Like I did say before we went on the break, whether you like it or not, the major reason that has always been one of the boiling points is what will happen as a result of this loyalty from someone that I put in a particular place to perform certain functions. It's not that there aren't people from other parts of the country. There are. But with history has come to show that a lot of these men, when you ask them on one-on-one, is that aspect of loyalty. Can I get it from this man? And let's be very sincere. If you want your system to work, you need loyalty. It's not the issue of just picking someone loyal to the nation, but also that person should have that loyalty to the point that you have an understanding that he will deliver in line with the vision you have.
Oh, maybe that's just political.
No, sir. No, sir. Every leader has a vision, and that is why before anything is being done, the vision is being given, and he carries his vision and he shares his vision, and it's expected that the men are supposed to run with the vision. So someone who doesn't understand your vision for the nation, your vision for the state, and is now in the position to run certain sensitive things might become an issue. So these are some of the reasons why I think most of this.
So even if it was not a democratic era, even military regime can as well.
Sir, loyalty is the most important thing.
And there's no 99% of loyalty. That's what they say. There's no 99% of loyalty.
Yes, and that is why you must definitely look out for it. Elements of loyalty that can tell you I can run with this person. If it's not there, no matter how much capacity that person has, the injury of loyalty, of disloyalty, sir, is more dangerous than in terms of the capacity input of an individual. I'm not saying that we should play with capacity. Capacity is paramount, but you can still find capacity in a loyal person around you one way or the other. But it is possible you might find capacity in someone, but there's no disloyalty.
And you can as well find, yes, sure, capacity in someone, but except otherwise, if the person that is 100% loyal to his principle, in code, and then he sees that his own principle is actually derailing.
No, before you step up into the game, you must also consider before taking the appointment that do I want to run with this person?
All right.
And if that person is not having the kind of a mindset and ideology that you have, don't accept the appointment.
All right, Dr. Victor, let us not overflow the issue of loyalty. Let's also venture into, let's further broaden the conversation rather. What do you make of the economic policies of President Bola Tinubu? Because of recent times, we've seen that prices of fuel is beginning to, drop a little bit. And we've also seen before now, Nigerians, had to buckle up themselves, before they could put food on their table. And the complaints and lamentation is still ongoing. But he was adamant and resolute that if there was any other way, he wouldn't have removed the fuel subsidy. But of course, he had a reason. He has perhaps envisioned, the outcome and the consequences of the decision he has taken. What do you make of this process and, of course, the policy?
There's this argument that those that gain from the subsidy are a fairly little fraction compared to the majority of Nigerians.
Absolutely.
And he decided that probably he's going to move the other way around, whereby remove the subsidy and then let the majority of the Nigerians have the, return of democracy.
So is that what we're seeing now?
Yes, but that is the question now. It's how is it being implemented? To be very sincere, it's a policy that would have worked. But were you in a rush? I think that's the biggest question.
And that is what he tried to make Nigerians understand, that we're not in a rush.
But he also was in a rush. We're not in a rush, but he did not put in front what you
palliative measures,
cushioning effects, other aspects that are going to become a burden to the people. How do you go about the food crisis in the country? If you first of all arrest, allow the borders to have gone on.
But his submissions as a president, as a matter of fact, is the governors, of course, should be the ones who bridge the gap if you look at the allocation, the subvention that is coming, and as well the ruling for the autonomy of local
Sir,
government.
I don't want you to. You see, you've gone to the aspect I really feel bad for Nigerians. You know, it's only in Nigeria that you find out that you allow certain things to run. You're having a ruling from a Supreme Court, which of course will respect our judges. But I want to ask you this question, sir. Have you ever asked yourself, have they expunged, have they removed in any way, have they vacated a constitutional provision for the joint accounts?
They haven't.
They haven't. But you still have a Supreme Court that has gone ahead to grant the executive such powers to go ahead and institute what is against the constitutional provision. So you see, I keep arguing. I say, what people try to argue, it's left, right, center. But have you vacated that? What I expected, to my own view, is that the Supreme Court should have instituted a pattern that the legislative arm should undertake a process of revisiting that particular constitutional provision and looking for a way of vacating it before implementing anything. Any government can come tomorrow.
But as a matter of fact, it's the right move. If we have three arms of government, of course, we should, as a matter of fact, three tiers of government, so that we will authenticate the essence of these tiers of government. So I think it's in the right direction that such kind of rulings, are given. But just like you said, it should be vacated so that expunging the joint account, because there's no way you can say local government is autonomous while they're still operating in JAC, otherwise known as joint account.
And that's why I keep saying, even beyond that, there are other big mountains to surmount in this issue of it. Let me even say this, sir. Do you know that even the legislative list that is supposed to be the mode of operandi that governs the executives at different tiers, you understand, to operate, tend to have most of the provisions more in the exclusive, while the concurrent, which is supposed to allow the state to function, even is still a problem before you talk about the residual. So you see, when you're talking about such things, you first of all ask them, it is more of a legislative function that should be done. These things should be visited, deliberated upon, debated, and then decisions should be taken on the basis of either vacancy or
sorry, somebody
reforms.
watching us now, listening to you talk, may want to ask which of the legislative arm you're talking about. Is it the national level or the state level?
They are all included, because
if they are all included, somebody
will
would say mostly the state legislatures are, with lack of a better word, stooges to the state governors, because they pull the strings together. That's what I'm saying.
Are you not aware? When people argue for and against, you must consider all sides. What is happening in some other states where you have the legislative arm having battles with the state government. So it is all about the ability to have an understanding. So if you find a state governor that is moving or getting along well with his particular House of Assembly, probably his understanding is far much above those that are in battles. When you have someone who understands how to operate with people, he knows what to do.
You're systematically pushing me now until we're going to start asking you questions about Adamawa State government, and its governance style, which is very expedient that I should. How will you react to, the romance between the State House of Assembly and Right Honorable Amadou Moro Fintiri? Because as a matter of fact, unlike other states where the first 4 years you could hear a little bit of acrimony and apprehension between members of the House of Assembly and the governor. But of course, 4 years have come and gone. In the songs of Style Plus in Nigeria, 4 years don't waka, we see the carry go, nobody waka. You know what I'm saying? But that, of course, has really sediment or cemented a kind of a relationship. And how does that help, the governor in discharging his duty as a governor?
Well, whether you like it or not, I must say something at this point in time, that Nigeria has come to a point whereby you can either perform and succeed on the basis of your capacity.
On the basis of your capacity. All right, hold it here. Catch up, break. I'll come back to you so that you build on this. All right, you're watching Political Affairs on Karma TV. We'll take a short break now. We'll be back in a moment. Join us again. glad to know you're still there. If you just joined us, you're watching Political Affairs on Kama TV. I've been discussing with Dr. Victor Dogo. He's a principal special assistant to the governor on social mobilization, and he has been furthering the conversation as to the nation building. All right, Doctor, before the break, I asked you about what you make of the romance between the governor and the State House of Assembly that has negated what happens, in other states over the time. We will see a fracas, a feud that created and bring a conflict between the executive and the legislature. But in other states, it's quite a different ballgame. What could be the reason behind
Experience. The word experience.
Mm.
When you have a leader that is very experienced in governance, a man that has been in the legislative arm, a man that has operated as a Speaker of the House, a man that has been able to become an acting governor before even becoming a governor, he understands that interworking, intergovernmental relationship. You see, I keep telling people, I say before a man takes the office of a leader, you should have certain courses, certain, even if not attending a normal school, you should be able to be updated by certain persons, advisors, or get the right persons to make him understand intergovernment relationship that enhances performance and productivity. This is exactly what Governor Ahmadu Finji tends to have. A man that is a developmental administrator who understands the basic operation fact that surrounds governance. He has it at his fingertip. Now, people might be wondering, could he have been better? I think he's at the peak of what I would call the best for Adamawa State right now. So what we are seeing didn't just come like that. It was an experience that came over time. Someone who understands how to legislate, understands the essence of legislation, and understands how it is being stepped up from one level to the other, up to the point of execution and as an executive. This is a man that has come to a point whereby he brings the people, and that's why we have what we call an interactive session in Adamawa State quarterly. These interactive sessions were what he decided must be done, where the people come to understand his policies and the people give us feedback from their own expectations, from their own end, now accumulating into what he uses to finally come out after analyzing the various opportunities that are available, and from the limited resources, he's able to marry them together to execute some of the things.
All right, Dr. Victor Dogo, Principal Special Assistant to the Governor on Social Mobilization. There's no better way to end this conversation than now. Thank you so very much for finding out the commercial. Still looking forward to seeing you again for more conversation of such when the time is right.
It's my pleasure.
Thank you once again. All right, viewers, that's our show for today. Thank you so very much for being with us from start to finish. Join us again, same time, same station, as we come with a fresh edition of the program. Until then, stay safe. My name is Chris Jacobs. God bless Nigeria.